Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Nick family. What's the vibe this morning? Ooh, the Knicks lost last night to the Atlanta Hawks at MSG in the quarterfinal game of the Emirates, I hope I said that right, Cup, or the NBA in-season tournament, 100 to 108. I have a hard time assessing this game, and then I'll get into the recap. I'll get into what I think about individual players' performance. The Knicks had a good first half. They came out the gate strong, and which was good to see, right? Because they've had games where they've come out flat. This wasn't one of them. And I had a good inkling that they would. You think about how they came out against Orlando, to win their division as far as the cup is concerned. They came out with a lot of energy. I expected the same last night, and they did. They did. Then they turn around and have a poor third quarter, to say the least. I'll get more into that later. And then in the fourth quarter, when they were within striking distance, in my opinion, I don't know, down 6-7 with 5, 6 minutes left, they gave me no inkling. Like, in terms of their energy level, they did not look like a team that had it in them to complete the comeback. They just didn't. I don't know if this is a chemistry thing, not necessarily last night, but just overall. Is it a toughness thing? Like, just not having it within you to, grind out a game, or grind out a quarter, or grind out a possession? Or is it a roster thing? I think we're asking a lot of our starters. And in these tough games where you have to put out a lot of energy, particularly giving up 22 offensive rebounds, that means defensively now you have to defend a few more seconds, 5, 10, 15 seconds, whatever that possession is. And the Knicks had to do that 22 times, right? So they didn't get a lot of bench help last night. I think our bench was outscored 43-14. I think we have the worst bench scoring in the league. So I say all of that to say that, it's part of it, the fact that our starters just don't have enough help. They did things that were uncharacteristic of them. Poor transition defense. I think they gave up 20 fast break points. The Knicks are fourth in the league in limiting fast break points, opponents' fast break points. I think they give up 12.6 fast break points per game, right? That wasn't the case last night. Poor free throw shooting, and that's been the case the last few games. Not sure what to say about that. And 15 turnovers, right? Including 3 team turnovers. Wasn't good last night. Very disheartening loss for me. And then, another factor to think about is Atlanta just a bad matchup for the Knicks? Dyson Daniels is 6'8", superb at navigating screens and making it tough, on Jalen Brunson last night. I don't think the Knicks did anything schematically to help Brunson. And I remember texting Ajay during the game, and I said, it's not like we haven't played Atlanta before. It's like we don't know what Dyson Daniels can do, right? And I remember texting back and forth with Ajay saying, I wonder what Thibodeau is dialing up to help Brunson, get open and get some looks. And I didn't see much of that last night. And I thought it was one of the few games where the Knicks' lack of height hurt them. I don't think it's something that happens all the time. But I think last night was one of those games, particularly if Brunson does, create an advantage and is able to get into the key. There's a lot of length waiting for him. So, you can argue that it's a bad matchup for the Knicks, but the Knicks were right there. The Knicks were right there in the first half and just wasn't able to duplicate that in the second half. I have some questions for Tom Thibodeau. I don't think he's gonna, obviously I don't have access to him. I'm just being funny, but I didn't like I spoke about earlier, just not scheming to help Brunson get free versus Dyson Daniels, not targeting Trey Young enough, in my opinion. Just hunting the mismatch. And seeing what we can get out of that. Um, one of the things that's different from one of the things we don't have is, other than Brunson, who creates an advantage for us, right? I think in the NBA, particularly in the playoffs, that's where it all starts, right? When you're able to get in the key, get the defense in rotation, someone is open, you just have to find them, right? Or you have someone who commands a double team, right? Somebody is open, you just have to find them. Other than Brunson, who do we have that can create an advantage for us? I'm not sure. I'm not sure we have that. And I'm not taking anything away from Cat and what he does, when he's, above the break, at the top of the key, really, beyond the key, really, and what bringing the center out of the key does for us. It definitely helps us. It's a big part of what we do. It's a big part of why, we have a top offense in the league. Um, teams may feel comfortable giving Towns the 3-point shot. Teams may be comfortable giving him the drive, you know, and living with that. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna, what we can do about that. We could put the ball in Bridges' hand a bit more. I'm still not sure if he's somebody that's gonna be able to consistently get into the key and create for others. So I do think that's an issue for the Knicks, particularly in the playoffs. In my opinion, who other than Jalen Brunson can create for the Knicks? And if you have somebody like Atlanta does, who can make it really tough for Brunson, and you don't even have to double team him, and you can keep him out the key. How do the Knicks generate consistent good looks? Right. All right. Anyway, I didn't think the Knicks played poor defense last night. I don't think this was a case of. I'm not saying the Knicks didn't have poor possessions. I'm not saying the Knicks could have been even better, but I don't think this loss was because the Knicks couldn't score. Couldn't defend. Atlanta averages 116.7 points per game. They scored 108. They average 111.3 points per 100 possessions. They had 104 possessions and scored 108 points. Neither team shot well. The Hawks shot 41.3% from the field, 29% from three, 65% from the free throw line. Not good. Um, the Knicks weren't good either. They shot 43% from the field, 26.2% from the 3-point line, and only 60% from the free throw line. They're number one. I don't know if they still are, but up to 2 days ago, they were number one in the league in free throw shooting at 81.5%. But the last 2 to 3 games, Karl Anthony Towns, Brunson, others just have not been hitting free throws. They don't get there enough for me. I'm not sure what the fix is for that. Maybe just because of the way they play, that's just too much to hope for. Um, but if you don't get there enough and you are very efficient, you shoot it well, the few times that you get there, you have to knock down the shot. And that hasn't been the Knicks the last few games. Neither point guard shot well. And take note, I didn't say played well. Neither point guard shot well. Trey had 22 points, 11 assists. He shot 36.4% from the field, just 25% from the 3-point line. I think he went to the free throw line 4 times and made all 4 of them. I think the Knicks did their job, making it difficult for Trey, as far as him being a scorer. Brunson, 14 points, 8 assists, did not shoot well. 33.3% from the field, 33.3% from the three-point line, 66.7% from the free throw line. The Hawks did their job, making it difficult for Brunson. But like I said, there's a difference between not shooting well and not playing well. And I think Trey was able to still get into the lane and create good looks for his teammates. And I think Brunson was able to do that at times, but I don't think he was able to do it enough. Atlanta had shots that they just missed, as well as New York had shots that they just missed. Um, yeah, yeah. I'll talk about Brunson a little later. So, like I said, neither team shot well. Neither team's point guard shot well. The difference to me was that the Knicks gave up 22 offensive rebounds, 20 fast break points, committed 15 turnovers, including 3 team turnovers, missed 6 free throws, and were outscored 46-61 in the second half. That's game. That's game. And to me, missing free throws, turning the ball over, the turnovers could definitely be due to the pressure of Atlanta, right? Really good defensive team, long team. But, a lot of that also, I think, is just the Knicks' lack of focus. The Knicks' lack of focus, and including the free throws. Thank goodness that the Hawks didn't capitalize on the 22 offensive rebounds. I believe they had 14 second chance points. So they weren't able to capitalize on it, but still less offensive possessions for the Knicks, more defensive energy you have to expend because the possession has been extended. Bench scoring 43-14, advantage Hawks. Hunter had 24 points, Okongwu had 12 points, Bogdanovich 7. And for the Knicks, McBride had 5, Achua had 2, and Payne had 7. It's just not enough. This puts a lot of pressure on your starters game in and game out to not have bad games. Trae Young did not shoot well. You getting 24 points off the bench from one player. He had more than our entire team. I'm just 7. Well, he had more than our. I'm trying to think if they're second best, but 12, almost. Okongwu had 12 points. He had about as much as our entire bench. Hunter, 24 points. He almost doubled the scoring of our bench. That puts a lot of pressure on your starters. In the third quarter, they were outscored 18-34. Shot 30.8% from the field and 16.7% from the three-point line. Listen, for the Knicks, there isn't a lot of margin of error. Your offensive team, the defense has gotten better. They went from 21, now they're up to 17, at least as far as offensive rating is concerned. The Knicks are top 5 in limiting fast break points. They're top 10 in limiting opponents' points in the paint. I think they're also top 5 in limiting second chance points. So the defense is not a dumpster fire, but in terms of field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, offensive, defensive rating, getting better, not there yet. That being said, you're basically counting on your offense to be on point every night. That's a big ask. Even for a good shooting team, that is a big ask. In the fourth quarter, Trae Young didn't even shoot the ball well. He was 0 for 6 overall, 0 for 3 from the from a 3-point line. You're getting 24 points from one player off your bench. You still have a good opportunity to win the game. So I'm pretty sure the Knicks understand that, and there's something they'll do about it. All right, let me get to the chat before I get into just the individual player observations. All right, hold on here. JJ, salute Steph. I'm disgusted. Disgusted. Last night showed me a lot. We're not a true contender. Tissue soft. I'm not ready to say the true contender after 25 games. I do think you gotta give that some time. Is Philly a true contender? I mean, is Orlando a true contender? You look around the league, we're not the only ones struggling. But I do hear you in the sense that there is cause. I understand the concern, um, for sure. Khalid Pasha, I agree. This team needs more. Yeah. What do you think it is? Do you think we need one more scorer off the bench? Do you think we need more defensive players? Do you think it's just a matter like what else do you think we need? Okay. Also, I'm calling the Jazz right now and get Colin Sexton and Walker Kessler for whatever we got left and starting Kessler with Cat so we can punish teams in the paint. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen if that's the issue with the Knicks. If the Knicks just need a little more shot blocking, or a little more, need a little more rim protection. Maybe, maybe. Salute Corey Lee, appreciate you. Salute, got to give the Hawks credit. They got some tough dudes. They do. They do. Hawks are just a bad matchup for us. They're better. I mean, a bad matchup doesn't mean that the team is better. I mean, they also beat Cleveland twice, and I believe they beat Boston once. Are they better than Cleveland and Boston? They're not. So just because a team is a bad matchup for you doesn't mean they're a better team than you are. Do you think they have a better roster? Do you think you could get further with the Hawks in the playoffs than you can with the Knicks? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. This team don't got enough players. We small. We got 5 guys under 6'4". Drip more, appreciate you. Good afternoon. Our team not whole yet, so we got to wait until we have all our options available. I mean, who's left? I mean, at this point, we're talking about Mitchell Robinson, and we're talking about, there's reports. I think Shams reported that he may be out till February. And so, he's traveling with the team. You're thinking, oh, maybe he's ahead of schedule. Then you get news that he may not come back to January, which we already thought, possibly February. I saw a article title headline. I didn't read the article that Mitchell Robinson is in line for an extensive rehab. So I'm wondering if we at the point where we can't really depend on Mitchell Robinson. And I know we say a lot, and I say a lot. Well, when Mitchell Robinson comes back, we'll have this versatility. Maybe at this point we should just be thinking, if Mitchell Robinson comes back, that's gravy. That's just extra. That we can't be planning for Mitchell Robinson's return, right? Because if he does return, we don't even know if he's going to stay healthy, right? Hopefully, them taking their time with him bodes well in that regard, but we don't know. So I just think Mitchell Robinson is just a question mark at this point. Um, I'm not sure. One thing I do trust this front office, that they see what the needs are. Um, yeah, and they'll make something happen if they can. Andrew K. DeAndre Hunter impressed me. I didn't realize he was that strong. Yeah, he is. He's a good scorer and 3-point shooter. You're not going to get much else from him, but he he does that. All right. Johnny Davis, you said it just then. The Apple turnover factory we opened up didn't help at all. 15 turnovers, 12 individual turnovers, amongst the individual players and 3 turnovers. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Okay. If I'm Tibbs, I'm telling Cat set a high screen so Brunson can get downhill. All the screens are at the 3-point line. You need higher screens and multiple screens to free him, but Tibbs ain't it. I'm not going to go as far as to say Tibbs ain't it overall. I'm not going to take that and a few other valid concerns that we as Knicks fans have and just say this coach ain't it. Like you can look at any coach and there's going to be complaints against him. That being said, last night, I I I said, listen, we already know what Dyson Daniels is going to do. I wonder what they're going to do to help Brunson, and I didn't see much. I didn't see much. You know, so yeah, there was some schematic things last night that I wasn't impressed with. Okay. All right. Shout out to Sherman. Appreciate you. Kerry Cox. I appreciate you. All right. Um, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Listen, Cat got into foul trouble. He was phenomenal in the first half. And for the game, he had 19 points, 19 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 7 for 5 from the field. I believe he had 17 of his 19 points in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, before he got into foul trouble. I do think that the game was called a little bit uneven in terms of the fouls called on Cat, and then the Knicks was getting a little roughed up there, and physically handled, and there wasn't calls on the other side. But at the same time, I'm not going to complain too much um, about the officiating. I still think the Knicks had an opportunity to win that game, and it just seemed like they didn't have anything left. I don't know if they were physically tired in that fourth quarter, mentally tired, but just didn't seem to have it. David Elbire, appreciate you. Brunson and Cat got fouled on almost every drive in the second half. Talk about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna complain. Quinn Snyder outcoached Tibbs. I definitely, like I just mentioned, thought there was some things Thibodeau could have done, in my opinion, that could have helped. Now would that have won the game for the Knicks? I don't know, but I think it would have helped. Khalid, the team needs more players, and Mitch ain't turning this team. Yeah, I think we might be putting too much um on Mitch. Salute nostalgic Nick. Appreciate you. Nah. Yeah, listen. Okay. I mean, if you feel like we got bullied and now everybody in the league knows and everybody is not Atlanta. Everybody doesn't have a Dyson Daniels that can contain Jalen Brunson. Everybody doesn't have that length. So even if everybody sees this so-called blueprint that you can use, there's a blueprint to beat every team. Every team. There's a blueprint to beat Boston. There's a blueprint to beat every team. The question is, do you have the players that can execute that blueprint consistently? You know, I'm not taking anything away from Atlanta. I still think I still think it's a bad matchup for the Knicks. Um, but I'm not taking anything away from Atlanta, and I'm not being super down on the Knicks. It's deflating. OG hit in the face, no whistle. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep. Nick P, we made moves to be a contender though, and it looks bad. Yeah, it doesn't look promising right now. I will give you that. It doesn't mean that what we're seeing now at 25 games is what the Knicks are going to be all season. There are levels to it. They'll get better, and the front office is committed. So if they need to make changes, they'll make changes. You know? Remember, the same team that lost to Atlanta is the same team that beat Orlando and the same team that beat Denver. It's going to be like that. Until they get right, there's going to be like this: good good wins, bad losses, disappointing losses. And the grill one, Precious is still finding his way. Could have used Sims rebounding. Well, Precious is a better rebounder than Sims. A lot of Sims' impact is off the score sheet. When I look at the scoreboard the next day, I don't really see a lot when it comes to Sims. Some games I do, but most games I don't. A lot of it is, rim protection, being where he's supposed to be, deterring shots, his pick and roll recovery, things that don't show up in in the box score. Somebody said good luck in Kessler and Sexton. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. We made all the wrong trades. We just needed to trade for a rim protector. But who would? I mean, that's easy to say now. I mean, look, family. I know we wanted this win. We all wanted to go to Vegas. Let's not get too down now and saying we shouldn't even trade it for Towns. Who's that rim protector we would have traded for? So you feel like we would have been a better team? Let's just say we were able to trade for Kessler. We would have been a better team with Kessler, Randall, OG, Bridges, and Brunson, and Hart coming off the bench. I don't know. I would have to let that. Settle in. All right. Let me see anything else. Salute, Ajay. Appreciate you. All right. Right. The. Okay. All right. So let me just get into some individual. We talked about this. All right. This is by the numbers. I think we talked about most of this already. Knicks were out rebounded by 9, 49-58. I think it was pretty even as far as defensive rebounds were concerned, but the Knicks gave up 22 offensive rebounds, only 14 second chance points off of it. But still 27 assists. So they're still moving the ball. Not a lot of one-on-one play. Neither team shot well from the field, from the 3-point line, or from the free throw line. The Knicks gave up, I talked about this earlier, 20 fast break points. So they weren't good in transition defense. They're a pretty good, team in terms of limiting opponents' fast break points. I think they're 4th or 5th in the league in that regard. All right, yeah. So let's talk about individual plays. Talked about Karl-Anthony Towns, who I thought came out with a lot of energy on the offensive end and on the defensive end, was very, very active. These past few games, in my opinion, I'm getting a glimpse of what Karl-Anthony Towns can be defensively, And again, these high usage, I'm not sure what his usage is, but usually your best players are not your best defensive players. Usually. It does happen sometimes, but you do need them to step up, obviously be where you're supposed to be at all times, but you do need them to step up at times at certain points in the game and crunch time, key possessions. And I thought he did that last night. Really encouraged by what I'm seeing from Karl-Anthony Towns. Brunson, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. We talked about him last night. Not only did Dyson Daniels do a good job, but again, all of the length that they have behind him, the Knicks didn't do anything to help him. But with Brunson, I've had this feeling for a while, but I didn't say anything about it because when you look at his stats statistically, he's having a really good year. So I said, maybe it's just me. But from the eye test, he just doesn't seem the same. I don't think, he's not as frisky, if that's the word, um, as he was last year. He's moving slower, in my opinion, not as assertive on offense, in my opinion. And I get it. He has more players. He's trying to get more players involved. He's trying to find a balance between shooting, scoring, passing. He's passing more, and I know that the fan base is, oh, great, he's passing more. I'm wondering if we're a better team if he's a bit more aggressive offensively. I'm not saying we will be. I'm just wondering. When I look at Milwaukee with Giannis and Dame, they didn't start clicking until Giannis was like, you know what? I just got to be me. Dame will find his way. I just got to be me. Um, and again, I'm not saying Brunson needs to go back to where he was last year, but I do wonder if he needs to be just a bit more assertive on the offensive end. Um, yeah, yeah. I'll think about that some more. We'll talk about that tonight on the weekly show, but he's just not looking the same to me. Even though statistically, he's doing phenomenally. Hart, 21 points. Really? Yeah, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, the heart and soul of the Knicks. This guy is just a little tight. He's just a little tight. He doesn't care who you are. He's taking it in there. He's bouncing off of you like a pinball machine, for those who old enough to know what a pinball machine is. And he's still making the basket. I just love Josh Hart. I just absolutely love him. Bridges, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 blocks. I thought his defense on Trae Young was pretty good. Trae Young didn't kill us with his shooting. It was just the passing, and well, in hindsight, right, in order to pass, he has to get into the key. So I thought Bridges was okay. I didn't think he was phenomenal. I thought he was okay. You wonder, just like Tibbs mixes up the lineup sometime, and you see, I'm seeing now Towns in the game with Precious and Hart, or Towns in the game with Precious and Bridges. Maybe there's sometimes you're gonna have to put Deuce McBride in as the point of attack with the starters. You know, um, I know sometimes he is in there with Payne and Towns but it just seems to be those are more second teamers that's in the game at the time. I'll have to look more closely. I would like to see McBride in there on their starting ball handler at times, you know, to just go to that sometimes and you know, move Bridges to the off guard. You're always hiding Brunson on a power forward anyway. I just think sometimes you just need McBride at the point of attack, and I would like to see Tom Thibodeau go to that more on the opposing starting point guard. Anunoby, 13.6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 blocks. I think offensively, he's coming back down from the stratosphere, right, that he was at. Um, he does what he does on the defensive end. Offensively, he's much better than last year. But I don't know, was it 4 games ago? We were wondering if he was that missing piece on offense, that third option, and maybe he is, but he's just seeming to come back to earth. Or maybe this is just me getting super down on the Knicks right now. The bench, listen, we talked about this earlier. Atlanta bench scored 43 points. The Knicks bench scored 14, 13 or 14, between McBride, Achua, and Payne. The Knicks are playing 8 right now. They can go to 9. I'm not sure if that's going to help the bench scoring, but we need more. And I'm not even sure if if I know the Knicks are waiting for Shamit to come back. I don't even know if that's enough. I just think the Knicks need like a bona fide scorer off that bench. And even moving Hart to the bench, I don't even think he's that. You know? Um, all right. Let me go back to the chat before we this is the lead track. I love this. This is like a visual of the game, right? First half, maybe a third of the third quarter, the Knicks were doing well. The rest of that third quarter, the fourth quarter, it was all Atlanta. And again, is that a mental toughness thing? Is that just being worn out? I'm not sure, but it showed last night. And it was similar, I think, the first time we played Atlanta. We had a lead and they were able to storm back, take the lead and win the game. All right, a few more, and then we are out of here. Knicks play Orlando. All right. But anyway, old head TJ Warren should be on the roster over Matt Ryan. All right. David Elby Precious is a good start, but he not an enforcer. Yeah. Tibbs ain't going nowhere. Can we stop with the overreactions? The Knicks are 5 games over 500. We must consider a coaching change. Relax. I get it. It was a disappointing loss. We all wanted to go to Vegas. I get it. But I think that's a bit too much. Anyway, so we played Orlando Magic, right? Because the Orlando lost to Milwaukee. We lost to Atlanta. So Atlanta and Milwaukee will play each other, and the Knicks will play the Orlando Magic again Sunday, December 15th. Orlando is now 17-10. We're 15-10. They're 23rd in offensive rating, 3rd in defensive rating. Knicks are 2nd in offensive rating, still 17th in defensive rating. Orlando is now without Wagner. I forget, not Mo Wagner. Franz Wagner. He sustained a significant injury, so he's going to be out that game. But listen, like I said, the Knicks are in no position. I don't care who they're playing. I don't know who the worst team is record-wise in the NBA. The Knicks need to be preparing overtime for that team. We're just not in a position where we could be taking any team lightly. Just Nick and a weekly show tonight at 9 p.m. Be sure to join us. We're going to talk about Precious, whether or not he should start. We'll talk about Brunson. We'll talk about the Atlanta game again. So join us tonight and every Thursday night, unless there's a game, on the Just Nick and It weekly show. The Cutting Room Floor podcast, I believe I will be on this Sunday. So look for that. Have your notifications on. Game recap. I'll be on Monday morning to recap the Monday afternoon to recap the Orlando game. And then, of course, Queens Court on a Nothing But Knicks channel Mondays at 7:30. And I believe I'm doing an appearance this coming Monday on Still Knick Fans on their weekly show at 9 p.m. So check me out there. Thanks for watching. Kerry Cox, appreciate you. I'm not giving him a pass, Eddie Kofi. It's not a pass. The Knicks are 15-10. They're 5 games over 500. It's 25 games into the season. This is a pass. I think trying to fire the coach is an overreaction. That's not a pass. It's an overreaction. Come on now. You're still my guy, though. You're still my guy. On Dios N1K, I appreciate you. David Bayer, appreciate you. Khalid Pasha, I appreciate you. Kerry Cox. Y'all know my condition. I might say some of y'all name twice, and I might not say any of y'all name one time. It's not personal. I just overlooked you by mistake. Brooklyn Butch, been a minute. I appreciate you. Old head Sherman was in the building. Appreciate you. Andrew K. JJ is down on this team. We're going to have to win like 7 games in a row for JJ to be up. Who else? Nostalgic Nick, I appreciate you as well. I think I got to every. Corey Lee was in the building. It's been a minute. I appreciate you. Dripmore, I appreciate you. All right. Until next time, fam.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's her.
turn. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?